Hey everybody, Todd Mitchell here, back with the Game Dev Breakdown podcast. In this episode, you'll hear more of the great stuff we captured at GDC. We will hear from Edward Thomson and Kayla Ngan of Microsoft's Visual Studio Team Services group. They are both version control experts, and you will hear some awesome content about version control and game development. So they're both super knowledgeable, and they were great to hang out with for half an hour. So sit back and enjoy, and here's my chat with Ed and Kayla.
Not even close.
Way off, yeah. Okay. Hi, guys. I'll go ahead and have you guys introduce yourselves. Ed, tell us who you are, what you're all about, what you're doing here at GDC.
Yeah, so my name's Edward Thomson. I'm a program manager at Microsoft, and I work on the Visual Studio Team Services team. Visual Studio Team Services is our sort of development platform, I guess, if you will. From beginning to end, we'll do the planning of your software project, whatever it is, whether it's a game or a mobile app or a website. Sure. And then we'll host the code for you. And that's kind of where I focus on, is really Git and version control within VSTS. But it doesn't stop there. Once you've got your code actually in Visual Studio Team Services, you can build it and deploy it. So whether it's to Azure, if you're building a web app, or AWS or Google Cloud Platform, or whether you're building a game. My buddy James builds Xamarin games and deploys using VSTS to the App Store and to the Google Play Store. So it's totally flexible, and I'm here talking mostly about version control.
Cool. And Kayla?
My name is Kayla Ngan, and I am also a program manager at Microsoft. I work on the Visual Studio Team Services team as well. I primarily work on version control as well, mostly in the client, actually, in Visual Studio. We have also plugins in VS Code, IntelliJ, Eclipse, and that's mostly what I focus on.
Cool. Absolutely cool. So, Edward, did I hear right that you were previously with Git?
With GitHub.
GitHub.
Yeah. So I've been writing version control for really painfully long time, like most of my career. So I've been at Microsoft. I was at Microsoft for a bunch of years. I was one of the people that brought Git into Microsoft, into Visual Studio and Visual Studio Team Services. And I decided I wanted a little change. So I went to GitHub, and I was there for about a year, and then I decided to come back to Microsoft.
Very cool. And you work on a podcast yourself, is that right?
I do, yes.
I did a little research.
I love it. Yeah, if you are really into version control, like I guess I am, I have a podcast called All Things Git with my buddy Martin. And so we talk to, the idea is that it's about Git, but it's really about software development in general, right? Sure. So we use Git as a jumping off point, and we talk to people about the projects that they're building, the teams that they're building, and how they work together.
Very nice, very nice. So, and you guys are both doing basically interview sessions over at the Microsoft booth, is that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Are they upcoming, or have they already happened? The schedule is very hard to track this week.
I did mine earlier today.
Okay.
Same. I had one today and one yesterday.
And this being GDC, you guys, I'm sure, are fielding a lot of questions about how your specialties apply to game development.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so game development is an interesting wrinkle, I think, for version control, because there are so many different ways that you could build a game. If you're using Unity, your needs are just a little bit different than if you're using, something else. And there's so many big assets and big files that it's a real challenge for version control. So it's really interesting to talk to people and see what kind of problems they're having and how we can help them. And
do you find that as it pertains to game developers, you're probably occasionally dealing with smaller teams that didn't have super developed, super mature practices in place? And I speak from experience. I'm a developer myself, and it's especially if you're a one-man team. I hate to out myself, but I've certainly coded out of Dropbox, and Ed's left the room. No. So, tell me, and you guys are basically here to help bring people to the next level. What would you say you've been able to do to sort of help pull people in the right direction when it comes to small steps to get better organized, protect their projects, protect themselves?
Well, I'll say when I came, I was actually expecting to hear a lot about Perforce, especially when we were talking at the booth. And I was surprised that a lot of people said they use Git, and I was very surprised by that. A lot of it was because they said, "Oh, we manage our assets in Google Drive, and that's how we get around the big asset problem." But I think we're really here just to sort of talk about our product and how it works for small teams. It's free for 5 users, so people can just create accounts and kick the tires and see how it might work for them. And I think that's what we're trying to do here.
Absolutely, and it's a good point. The game development is different with the various assets you have to manage. So, actually, one of the coolest things I've found recently as a Git user is the community maintained .ignore file.
Yes.
Git ignore file. Yeah, I've made use of that in so many projects. I'm a freelancer, so I have to start new projects all the time, and to track that community maintained Git ignore file. With all of Unity's various, I love Unity, but it makes so many files you never need to see, you never need to deal with. You certainly don't need to be uploading and downloading all the time. Can't use it while Unity's open anyway.
Right. Right. No, that's totally true. And one of the cool things that Visual Studio Team Services does, and GitHub does it, I assume everybody does it. I don't know. When you create a new project, you can select. We'll have all those git ignore files from the community for you. So when you create a new project, you can say, add me a git ignore, and it's a Unity project. And so the first time you get started with that repository, that's already there. I think that's in the Visual Studio IDE too. Is that right?
It may be. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. The other cool thing, and this isn't like a community-driven thing. There's no central repository for it. I wish there was. That you can customize your Git attributes file for Unity. I don't know if you're super familiar with Git attributes.
I know of its existence.
Yeah. So it's like another metadata file that controls how Git works, and you can actually set up for your .asset files in Unity. You can set those up to be handled just a little bit differently if you ever have conflicts.
Okay.
So it will invoke a semantic merge tool that Unity provides. It's called Unity YAML merge. And so you can set that up, and that's kind of a cool way to work just a little bit better with Unity and Git. I've got to write up on this. I can put a link in your show notes if you don't mind.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
awesome.
I love pointing people to more information so they can dive as deep as they want, while the rest of everyone can sort of move along, stay above the surface.
Cool.
Everybody wants something different. We tend to skew on this podcast more on the indie side, but I'm so glad I've been able to come out here this week and give the harder core, really deep in the trenches people something to sort of sink their teeth into. I think that's been very cool. So I looked at you guys' interview topics, and I'm sure the questions you guys have fielded have been all over the place, but I came up with version control for team collaboration. Was that more your area, Kayla?
Yeah, that's what the interview earlier was on.
Okay, and I mean, what were the highlights of that talk? What is it? What does a new initiative in version control for team collaboration look like? So if you're speaking to a team that doesn't really know too much about it, what are the first steps to sort of get in the door?
Yeah, so the interview earlier, we talked a little bit about sort of why you would want to use version control.
Sure.
There's a lot of good reasons. It helps keep your development history clean. You can go back and look at stuff that you've changed, stuff that might have broken. You can develop without stepping on each other's feet and
Sure.
make sure that you're not overwriting each other's changes. It just makes it easier to move more rapidly, I would say, through the development cycle. But the other thing that we did in the interview is actually we talked more deep dive into the features that VSTS has, which unfortunately don't show as well over a podcast. But yeah.
Let's talk about some of the virtual file system stuff that I've been reading about. So for people who don't know what that concept is, I don't know who wants to take that one.
I can start and Ed can follow, I guess.
Sure.
So we developed the Git Virtual File System, also known as GVFS, as our solution for Windows. So Microsoft in general, we're trying to move everyone onto the same engineering system, and part of that is that we've sort of bet on Git. We wanted to move Windows to Git. Their repository is huge.
Yep.
They have lots of developers, and the big thing that they had is a lot of files. So we needed to come up with a solution that would make Git performant for their large repo and their large number of files.
Yeah, sure. So that's exactly right, because it's 350 50 gigabytes, give or take, when it's checked out. Like, that's not history. You know, I mentioned earlier, when you get clone, you get all of history. This
Sure.
isn't that. This is just what gets built to ship to Windows. It's insane.
Yeah.
And so Git just can't handle that. You know, with the first time we actually were able to clone the Git repository and ran Git status, it took about 10 minutes or so to tell us that nothing had changed.
Yeah.
So totally unacceptable. So the way GVFS works is it basically kind of inserts itself transparently between the programs, like whatever, Visual Studio, whatever you're writing in, Notepad, I don't know, and the file system.
Sure.
And so instead of having to clone all of that data, what it does is when you open one of those files, it goes and fetches it from the network. And that seems like it would be slower, and if you needed all of the files, it would be, right? That would add a lot of latency while you go over the network and get them. But most people don't need all the files. In fact, most people work in just like this tiny little area of the Windows repository. If you're working on Notepad, you don't need the Xbox source.
Yeah.
So you don't get it. And so it's a real time saver. It's allowed the Windows team to move to Git.
Very cool. And I mean, is this beneficial for... What would you say, like, the size of a project needs to reach for this to be beneficial? Just out of curiosity.
Right. That's a good question. So I think we're entering phase 2 of GVFS. Phase 1 was building it for the Windows team.
Yeah.
Phase 2 is building it for other people. And so we're coming up with some guidance there now. Some people are just jumping in and adopting it. They've decided that it's gonna solve their problems, and that's A, great, and B, crazy. And I'm really happy to see it. But I think that phase 2 is going to be kind of broader adoption. And I think that there are some interesting aspects that we could go to. Some of my buddies in the financial industry, they apparently have giant repositories too. And they're like, hey, I want to use GVFS. And that's neat. But I also think that there could be some opportunities for game developers, because, you know, the sort of, y'all don't have quite the same number of files, but y'all have bigger files than we do. So there may be some opportunities there to take advantage of a very similar situation. Instead of number of files, it's size, but I think that it could be beneficial. So this is kind of what we're thinking about next. So we're developing guidance and trying to figure out where the next steps are.
Very cool. So, and I agree that I think the more people who are sort of betting on the same system, probably the better off the whole community is going to be. I've done contracting for the government, Department of Defense before, and it's a lot of the same stuff. It's very large code bases, and you would touch very, very small, portions of it. And, selective downloading and things like that seem really, really super beneficial.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think I said we were in phase 2. I guess there may be 2 phase 2s. Like a version control system, we kind of branched it. The other thing is actually bringing the code base, bringing the GVFS changes back to Git itself, because GVFS is open source and that's great, but we do want to standardize on this. We want to bring all of the changes that we can back to the Git project itself. And so now that we've got it working, we've proven that it is beneficial to us, we're taking the changes that we made and bringing them to the Git project. So they're being code reviewed now. We're iterating on changes with the rest of the community so that everybody can adopt it.
And I would say it really goes both ways too. Any improvements that we can help make to core Git also accrue to people who are using GVFS as well.
Exactly.
So we invest sort of on both sides and just hope that they get closer together and performance is good.
Yeah, that's actually the team that Kayla manages. It's an incredible team that is bringing changes to Git itself to make it so even if you didn't want to use GVFS, if you had a large repository, we're making Git faster across the board. So if you're working in the Linux repository, it's faster. It's great.
Yep.
For people not familiar with this, talk to me about the actual large file problem with Git. Because it is something that people talk about, and so I think people who haven't encountered it yet go, what is that? Because Git's going so well for me right now.
You want to go for that?
Yeah, Git is going well for a lot of people until they have a lot of large files. Because again, when you clone a repository, you get all that history. So if you have a 1 meg ping, then and you change it, now you have 2 megs that you're cloning, and then 3, and then 4. Or you have a giant video. Who knows? I mean,
sure.
The real problem here it isn't that you have one, though. It's that you have a bunch in history, and when you clone, you get the ones that you don't need. And so there is a technology called Git LFS, which is the Git large file support,
Right.
that helps to do this. And it in fact kind of works similarly to GVFS in a sense, in that you're downloading the data as you need it. So if I clone a repository with Git LFS, I actually don't get all the history. I just get the most recent version that I'm going to need to build. And if I switch branches, then I'll contact the server and get it again. But it's kind of a trade-off, right? In some ways, it's more like a centralized version control system, because I need to be online to be able to get the changes, to get those files that aren't stored in the Git repository itself. But it does allow Git to handle these sorts of assets in a sense. It's certainly, well, I think, my opinion, it's better than Dropbox or putting it, sharding it manually. At least Git LFS can handle it for you. But it takes care of the large file problem.
Okay. And I think that's an excellent intro to to large file problems. But and I, at the same time, I sort of don't want to knock the Dropbox thing, because if you've never done any sort of version control at all, like, it's a good way to get into that mindset. And the first couple of times it saves your life, it's like, okay, great, but like, wouldn't you also like the benefits that you hear about by using something like Git? So if people are out there doing it, don't be ashamed. Just look at the ways you can move onward, right?
No, absolutely don't be ashamed, especially if you're just one person. I totally understand. It's once you get three people who are trying to work in the same Dropbox that things get, I don't want to say shameful, for sure.
Problematic.
You shouldn't be ashamed, but at some point something's gonna break.
Yeah.
And hopefully Dropbox can recover that, but a more methodological, is that a word?
Sounds good.
A more methodological approach. Ed's inventing words on podcasts. A more methodological approach might be more beneficial at some point, because it's easier to understand where changes came from at some point, because Dropbox does give you the ability to roll back, and that's wonderful, that's critical, and it gives you a safety that you wouldn't have if you were just all partying in a file share together,
right?
Without really doing backups, or even if you had some zip files. So it does bring a level of safety, but what it doesn't do is give you the ability to really understand when a change came in and why. And that's where a more proper version control system can help.
And there's never been a better time. Like, any major IDE you're using or any major tool set you're using, they're all sort of moving toward letting you just right there in the system set up Git, configure Git, see how your Git's doing, and it's. I first started using it very seriously in the last couple of years, and it couldn't be smoother. What are you guys? What's the focus on here in the next? Couple of years? Like, where are you guys really hoping to get in terms of sort of branching out from where you are here? I sort of know where your focus is, but what's next on the roadmap?
Well, I can say for my team, it's more of what we've been doing. We want to make Git faster. We want to, do GVFS, part 2 and part 2.2, I guess, as Ed was talking about earlier. Yeah. And internally, we're bringing more teams onto Git, and that's sort of the big move. We need to figure out, where are the gaps that we, have not addressed. Like we said, we moved Windows, but we still need to move over other big partners in Microsoft. And right now we're not able to sort of meet everyone's needs, and so that's what we're focusing on for the next year, at least on my team.
Cool. What teams have problems that have needs that aren't being met yet?
So, for example, Office, they need support for Mac.
Oh,
okay.
There you go.
Okay, so GVFS doesn't support the Mac yet, right?
Not yet.
Okay. Interesting.
Soon. Very cool. And what about you?
Oh, me. I don't know. So I have this weird situation where, so I'm going to explain boring Microsoft details to you, and I'm sorry. So Kayla's a feature PM. She runs a bunch of features, and she has engineers that are delivering those features. And so at Microsoft, you start to think that that's what a PM does, but in fact, a PM could be anything, it turns out. And I'm the random PM, so I do what I'm told. So I don't know what I'm going to do in the next 6 months. My boss is going to give me something, and I'm going to go do it, and that'll be that.
Well, that means you're the guy with the flexibility, adaptability, ready for whatever is needed.
That's a good way to look at it. I feel like Yeah. Okay.
I'm a resume man. That's your bullet point there.
That's what I'm gonna tell people from now on.
Update your LinkedIn.
It's not that I can't focus on things. Yeah. It's that I'm flexible and adaptable.
Yeah. See, that's the opposite. It doesn't focus well.
Right. Yeah. So what I actually do is I go to I talk to a lot of people about how they can adopt Git and how they can be successful with Git. So that's really cool.
So let's close out with advice for people out there listening who just aren't up to speed with this stuff yet. What's one thing they can apply in the next week, month, year?
I don't know. Try it out. It's free. You can go on GitHub. You can go on VSTS. You can go almost anywhere now and create a free Git repo. A lot of great tutorials. That's one of the great things about Git is there's this huge community. There's a lot of resources to start just learning it. Try it out for yourself. Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's great advice. I got nothing to add.
It is as simple as that. I can confirm. Just getting started from nothing is painless. Just about painless. Yeah. So, thank you guys both so much. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the week. I would encourage people to look up. I feel like there are going to be videos they can check out and.
So many videos.
There are many videos. Make sure these are some of them, and I wish you guys luck in the near future. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much to our guests. As always, if you enjoy the Game Dev Breakdown podcast, we would love to have you as a subscriber. You can do that at iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Player FM. It goes on and on. You can visit us at codewriteplay.com, find links to all of our other content all around the web. Reach out to us on social media. We love hearing from you guys. Let us know what you're enjoying, what you'd like to hear more of in the future. We'll be back with more great stuff from GDC real soon. Thanks, everybody.